Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates World Audiovisual Entertainment Summit 2025 in Mumbai, says India laying the foundation for a global ecosystem of talent and creativity, announces Waves Awards in future editions. India closes its airspace for aircrafts registered, operated, owned or leased by Pakistani airlines, issues notice to air missions till May 23rd for both civilian and military planes. In a call with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says perpetrators, backers and planners of the Pahalgam terrorist attack must be brought to justice. After a delay of over 2 months, US signs the historic natural resources deal with Ukraine. Both sides agree to establish the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. And Israelis battle raging wildfires near Jerusalem, forcing evacuation of communities. Tel Aviv appeals for international help to fight the blaze. Up first, updates from the first ever World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit being held in Mumbai. So India is hosting the first World Audiovisual Entertainment Summit Waves 2025 at the Geo World Convention Center in Mumbai. Just some time back, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the 4-day summit. The event will provide a global platform for discussions on the future of the audiovisual entertainment industry. Addressing the summit, the Prime Minister noted that WAVES is more than just an acronym, but it embodies a true wave of culture, creativity and universal connection.
लोग बैठे जिन्होंने गांधी 150 के समय 2-2, 3-3 मिनट के अपने वीडियोज बनाए थे, गांधी जी के विचारों को आगे बढ़ाया था। भारत और दुनिया भर के क्रिएटिव वर्ल्ड की ताकत मिलकर क्या कमाल कर सकती है, इसकी एक झलक हम तब देख चुके हैं। आज उसी समय की कल्पना हकीकत बनकर वेव्स के रूप में जमीन पर उतरी है। साथियों, जैसे नया सूरज उगते ही आकाश को रंग देता है, वैसे ही ये समिट अपने पहले पल से ही चमकने लगी है।
India reporters are stationed at the inaugural WAVE Summit in Mumbai. I'm joined now by Shama Mishra and Dibendu Mondal. Guys, you've seen this WAVE Summit, historic WAVE Summit unfold before your eyes. So let me come to Dibendu first. Dibendu, in his address at WAVES, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that it's not just an acronym, WAVES, but truly a wave of culture, creativity and universal connect, which will make waves in India's creative economy. Would you say that Prime Minister just hit the nail on the head?
Oh, well, absolutely, Tanvi. He just hit the nail right on its head. And to, put it simply, this is just the beginning of how this summit is going to reshape or shape the audiovisual entertainment industry in this country. This is the first ever summit that is being held here in Bombay, in Mumbai, which is also the capital, the entertainment capital of India. And we have all the bigwigs who attended today's inaugural session with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We have a power-packed schedule over the next 3 days with the brainstorming, discussions, roundtables, master classes, the exhibitions, from across different segments and sectors within the media, audio, visual, radio, as well as the digital media industry from across the world. So we can expect a lot of deliberation, discussions that will happen with the stakeholders, with creators, with the industry leaders, with marketing people, with people who will put their heads on how to make the creators economy, and as Prime Minister also talked about the orange economy, how India could lead forward, what we can learn from the foreign counterparts. Therefore, we also have about 30 plus countries participating here. So we'll see a much more power-packed, deliberations, debates, discussions, as well as roundtables happening, and we'll perhaps see some major outcomes from this, as the Prime Minister also said, that he did give us a bit of a hint as to how an award ceremony could also be brought in by the government, which would perhaps be the biggest, maybe like the Oscars for India. So, the Waves is working on something like that, and therefore, we can honor our talent. And this will particularly be not only, as the Prime Minister also said, it will not be honoring only the Bollywood movie stars, but also creators as well as influencers, as well as, the technological aspect of, you talk about VFX, you talk about gaming. So all these aspects will also be taken into account when we talk about Waves as a package.
Yeah,
Tanvi.
Waves as a package. Coming to you, Shama, now. You've, spoken and covered the journey of Waves all these days. If you could tell us a bit more about what gave rise to the need and idea of Waves, and what is it that makes Waves so very special and unique and attractive to the industry, creators and investors?
Tanvi, first of all, this is a place where everybody comes together. This is the biggest amalgamation from everything related to the media and entertainment sector. So we are not just talking about films, we are not just talking about OTT, we are talking about the gaming sector, we're talking about XR, VR. We are talking about comics, we're talking about music, in that we are talking about EDM, we are talking about, we've already spoken about comics, we are talking about animation, live action, everything related to that, and also much more when we are talking about that. Also, we are bringing together the finance part to it. We are bringing the people who are going to fund the future projects, who are going to like these projects, these pieces, and they are ready to put money into this. So this is all under one platform. This is one part. This is the USP of Waves. The other USP I would like to highlight is that usually we do see in film bazaars, other film bazaars or film festivals, that you have to bring your complete project, a completed project where you have to spend your own money, where you put your own finance. But this particular place is where you bring your ideas to the fore, you bring your ideas to the table, and if the person who's funding it, if the people who are there in the panel who are going to be funding, they like the idea, if it gets clicked, then they will be putting in the money, and then you go ahead, the creator goes ahead with the idea, and the entire project is then completed. So the different part of this particular summit is that you bring your raw idea, you bring your pitch, and then you pitch it to the people who are likely to put money into it, and then you get your project made. We are also seeing that there are so many ideas, there are so many aspects which were getting lost in time, but now it's going to get revived through Wave Summit, which is one of them is the comics. You and me would be reading the Tinkle or Amar Chitra Katha like 10 years back or maybe 15 years back. We have all stopped reading it because we don't know if it's there or not, if it's being sold in shops or not. Everything is gone on the phone, and how Prime Minister was saying, the screens are getting smaller, but the content is getting bigger. So we are bringing back comics also. In the Comics Creator Championship, we are highlighting these people who've been into this particular area, who are doing the comics, who are drawing comics and creating comics. They've been in this area. They are now getting highlighted, and they are getting a platform. So 10 people, 10 finalists from this particular championship would be getting a chance to come to the fore of the people who would be ready to put money and who would be ready to take it to the next level. Similarly, in the EDM, the Resonate, the EDM challenge, which is related to music, we are not just talking about how we are bringing in the fusion of the Western, we are also talking about how we take Indian music and in Indian music, we're not just talking about the national music, how Prime Minister was talking about each village has a story, each street has a story, each lane has a story, every river sings and every mountain has a story, every region here has their own unique music. And we are talking about Maharashtra, for example. One of the shortlisted finalists, he had spoken about how he'll be bringing the Maharashtra dhol, the Puneri dhol, into this fusion of EDM, and it will be taken to the global stage, because we understand there are so many artists, international artists, who are coming to India and they are performing. The concert economy is growing, but the pattern of this particular concert is that one big artist plays at the end of the day. Throughout the day, there are so many indie artists who get the opportunity. These EDM artists could get an opportunity over there and could also get an opportunity to present the Indian music. And once people, the audience or the spectators, like that particular kind of music, it is obviously going to get a boom. The people who are shortlisted in this particular challenge will also woo and try to captivate the audience over here. They'll be getting 10 minutes to perform. And they are, we believe, all are ready with their performance.
Yeah,
they are all
yes,
are ready with their pieces.
indeed.
There are so many other championships that we've been covering, and one of them is also something, we are all addicted to the screen. The young kids are addicted to the screen. How to do the de-addiction? Innovate to Educate is one particular challenge where these young people or even the startups, they were told, they were encouraged to create devices that would be a device, but then the addiction part of it would not be coming along with it. So that is also there. So Prime Minister is going to be talking to all these people. And one important part over here, Tanvi, is that the Prime Minister has given confidence to all these people, to all these participants, that everybody, whoever is creating, is part of this creative journey, who is part of the creative development for the nation. And everybody gets that, instant fillip that our work is recognized right from the top boss, which is Prime Minister. He is recognizing it and he is telling us to go ahead with our creation. And you can imagine then what kind of creativity comes out from that particular person. And we have seen that more than 1,000 finalists across various championships have been selected. And what kind of creativity, what kind of amalgamation or celebration of creativity would be coming to the fore throughout
in short,
the 4 days that we are here. Tanvi.
So in short, Shama, there's something for everyone there. If very quickly I can go back to Dibendu. Dibendu, in your opinion, what aspects of Waves would you say would be of special interest to visitors, both Indian and foreign visitors?
The creator sphere, and also as my colleague was speaking about Bharat Pavilion, as well as these master classes which are being held by these, one I remember is by Amir Khan, the popular Bollywood actor. One would also be by the producer and director of Game of Thrones. So therefore, people can look up to them. These are the masters of creativity. We have seen some of the best movies, series being made by such actors. So therefore, their master classes, of course, would be one of the key attraction for the people and the creator industry people who are coming in, the influencers, as to what are the key aspects that needs to be taken into account. There is also one of the sessions would also be upon how to create content like an influencer. So therefore, these things will attract people to come attend these master classes, these sessions, because these will teach you the art of how to tell a story within 30 seconds. Because as we have been talking since morning, how the attention span of people have reduced to just 30 seconds because of the storytelling has gone to 30 seconds to 1 minute, and therefore if you can tell your story within the time limit of 30 seconds to 1 minute, you can become you can bang on hit millions of views on Instagram as well as on Facebook, and therefore such are the key aspects where these workshops which can be attended and people are looking forward to. But apart from this, there's also the key pavilions, which is the Bharat Pavilion as well as the Creator Sphere, where People are coming in with their creative ideas. They have created certain creative works which will be showcased to people from across different countries. If they are
Okay.
takers of their ideas, they could be launched. They could be launched on different platforms. Yes, Tanvi.
Yeah, so indeed the waves from Mumbai will travel to the length and breadth of the country. Thank you very much, Dibendra Mondal and Shama Mishra, for tracking the Waves Summit for us. So the Waves initiative has been widely praised by the entertainment sector. The participants and advisors have been highlighting its potential to elevate India's position in the global audiovisual and entertainment landscape. DD India had an exclusive conversation with Bollywood actor and Waves advisory member Anupam Kher.
I have with me Bollywood legend Anupam Kher. Sir, tell us about Waves. How do you like this idea?
I think it's going to put India is already on a world map, but it's going to the Prime Minister's idea of putting India on a world map of entertainment audiovisual program is phenomenal. The people, the preparation is going to be so good. I'm in the advisory committee, and we know, I have now seen the scale is so mammoth, and it should be. I think if the economic forum is Davos, this is in the next 10 years, people will say, this is how we started it.
Sir, it will definitely generate creative economy, and it is also providing a dynamic platform to creators to come and showcase their prowess, something which is one of its kind. How do you react to that?
Of course, I think soft power of India is phenomenal. It's very rich, and it will I always say that we are the first people who wrote a book about acting, which was in 4th century BC, Natya Shastra, and this will take that economic shape. It will reshape the world and bring so many people together. Today we are in the world of collaboration, and to collaborate with so many people all over the world with economic and entertainment and mixing it together will be fantastic.
Sir, you just talked about collaboration. There will be investors, there will be sellers, buyers, and creators also. The content is growing global, and we as an Indians are celebrating the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
So far, we were trying to sort of make world understand that we can be Vishwaguru, not because of any forcibly saying that. Whether it is yoga or whether it is performances, whether we have 30 kinds of folk forms, classical forms, music, नृत्य. हम तो इतने धनी हैं, हमारी तो कोई किसी से तुलना ही नहीं हो सकती है. हमारी भाषाएं, 22 official languages, 3,000 dialects, food. We are a rich nation and we are a young country. We will really in the next few years dominate in every department. Idea is not to dominate. Idea is to tell the world that we are there.
That was Bollywood legend and Waves advisory member Anupam Kher, who said that Waves has already made a mark on the world map, and in the coming years will show the world that we are evolving with a rapid pace. With camera person Jagmohan, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Mumbai.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Pakistan continues to violate ceasefire along the LOC. Indian Army responds proportionately. Firefighters in South Korea work to curb forest fires. Ancient temples razed in the blaze. New Zealand's capital Wellington faces the strongest winds in more than a decade. A red warning in place for the city. back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Tanvi Taneja. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio held a telephonic conversation with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar late on Wednesday. Dr. Jaishankar in a social media post stated that the two leaders discussed the Pahalgam terrorist attack. He told his counterpart that the perpetrators, backers and planners of this barbaric attack must be brought to justice. Earlier, the U.S. State Department in a statement said that the U.S. Secretary of State expressed his sorrow for the loss of lives in the horrific terrorist attack in Pahalgam and reaffirmed the United States' commitment to cooperate with India against terrorism. Further, India has closed its airspace to Pakistani aircraft, affecting all civil and military flights. The move, conveyed through a notice to airmen issued on Wednesday, comes in direct response to Islamabad's earlier airspace restrictions on Indian flights. The ban will be in place till May the 23rd. The restriction applies to Pakistani registered, operated or leased aircraft. Also, the ban will be applicable for the commercial and military aircraft of Pakistan. The Ministry of Civil Aviation said in a statement that the restriction applies from ground level to unlimited altitude. With the Indian government's formal decision now in effect, Pakistan-based carriers will need to rely on alternative routes, primarily via China or the Arabian Sea, to reach Southeast Asian region. So, another incident of ceasefire violation was reported across the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir during the night of 30 April 1st May. Pakistani army posts initiated unprovoked small arms fire across the line of control opposite Kupawara, Uri and Akhnor sectors in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. In response to these provocations, the Indian Army responded appropriately and proportionately. And onto the situation on the Attari border. The process of deportation of Pakistani nationals is still on. Yesterday, a large number of Pakistani nationals were deported and about 140 Pak nationals crossed the Attari border, taking the total tally to approximately 926. So, the deportation of Pakistani nationals continues on the Attari-Wagah border. All movement and trade across the border has been suspended. The Pakistani nationals were given time till April 29th in all categories to leave India immediately. This happened in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack, and today is the last day of the movement at the Attari border. DD India's Gurmeet Singh joins us from the Attari border on the latest. So, Gurmeet, as we were telling our viewers that all movement and trade across the border has been suspended. So, tell us, what is the current status of movement where you are at?
Right now, we are at the Attari border integrated checkpost. We are just standing outside integrated checkpost where a lot of vehicles are lined up over here, the relatives of the Pakistani nationals who have come here to drop them, and the vehicles are packed with the luggages of the Pakistani national. But one difference that we are noticing today is that by 1 p.m. usually what happens is the immigration of all the Pakistani nationals is over. By the lunchtime, the immigration process is over. But today there is not even a single Pakistani national who has crossed over the border by now. As per the input that we are getting in right now, that is the Indian authorities are allowing the Pakistani nationals to cross over the border, but from the other side, from the Pakistani side, there's no confirmation yet whether they will accept the Pakistani nationals or not. So that's why all these Pakistani nationals are still waiting over here to cross over the border to reach to the integrated checkpost Attari border. I'd like to show you another visual of the integrated checkpost over here. Otherwise, what used to happen, there would be large number of vehicles parked over there, and the people would wait here while parking their vehicle just outside integrated checkpost. Right now, you can see there is not even a single vehicle of the Pakistani national allowed. No entry has been allowed by now because the integrated checkpost and the authorities over there are telling, as per the input that we are getting, that Pakistani side has not clarified till now whether they will accept the Pakistani nationals in their country or not.
Okay, so of course, India being sensitive on the matter, certainly. Gurmeet, a significant number of Indian and Pakistani nationals have crossed borders during the period from April 24th to April 30th. If you could give us a sense of numbers here.
By yesterday evening, if we go by the number of the Pakistani nationals who have crossed over the border, by yesterday the number is approximately about 926, and yesterday only the number of Pakistani nationals who have crossed over the border is 140. At the same time, the Indians who have come over this side and came to their homeland, the number is 186, about 186, and the number of Indians who have come over here in totality is beyond, somewhere about 1400. So right now the authorities are telling us, as per the input, that this number may further increase, and the influx of the Pakistani nationals is not stopping. Keeping that in mind, some other decision may also be taken to further or give some relaxation to the Pakistani nationals for another 24 hours. That is under consideration as per the inputs.
Okay, thank you very much, Gurmeet Singh, for tracking the story from the Attari border for DD India. Moving on now. Israeli firefighting teams battled wildfires near Jerusalem for a second day on Thursday, with police reporting the reopening of several major roads that had been closed. Prime Minister Netanyahu declared a national emergency, warning that the fires could spread into Jerusalem. Troops were deployed to support efforts. The Israeli military personnel were helping in Jerusalem and other central districts. Also, the Israeli government has asked the international community for assistance and help to fight these deadly blazes. The extremely dry and warm weather that fueled the deadliest wildfires in South Korea's history last March was twice as likely and more intense due to human-induced climate change. According to the researcher, large areas of the country's southeast were burned in a series of blazes in March, which killed 31 people and destroyed historic sites, including some 1,000-year-old temple site. Officials said at the time that the conditions made it very hard for conventional firefighting methods to control the blazes, which leapt from pine tree to pine tree across dried-out hillsides. Around 11% of South Korea's forested areas border human settlements, the study said. Strong winds and storms battered New Zealand while seawater flooded coastal roads on Thursday. According to the government's weather agency, the country's capital, Wellington, is facing the strongest winds in more than a decade. The National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research said average wind speeds have reached as high as 87 kilometers an hour in Wellington, while wind gusts at Bering Head hit 160 kilometers an hour. A red wind warning, the highest possible, is currently in place. This is the first time Wellington has had a red warning since the system was put in place in 2019. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Newly reappointed Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney speaks with Ukrainian President, reiterates commitment to peace in Ukraine. Last day of campaigning in Singapore, polls on Saturday will be the first major electoral test for Prime Minister Lawrence Wong. And Istanbul authorities put public transport in lockdown to prevent May Day marches.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Tanvi Taneja. A quick reminder of the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates World Audiovisual Entertainment Summit 2025 in Mumbai, says India laying the foundation for a global ecosystem of talent and creativity, announces Wave Awards in future editions. India closes its airspace for aircrafts registered, operated, owned or leased by Pakistani airlines. Issues notice to air missions till May 23rd for both civilian and military planes. In a call with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says perpetrators, backers and planners of the Pahalgam terrorist attack must be brought to justice. After a delay of over 2 months, US signs historic natural resources deal with Ukraine. Both sides agree to establish the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. So Ukraine and the US on Wednesday signed a deal heavily promoted by US President Donald Trump that will give the United States preferential access to new Ukrainian minerals. The agreement establishes a US-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund as well, with Ukraine retaining full control over its natural resources. Here's more.
The United States and Ukraine on Wednesday signed a minerals deal that will give the United States preferential access to new Ukrainian minerals deals and fund investment in Ukraine's reconstruction. President Donald Trump's administration is calling it a new form of US commitment to Kyiv. The two countries signed the accord in Washington, D.C. after months of sometimes fraught negotiations. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Ukrainian First Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Svydorenko signed the agreement.
Thanks to President Trump's tireless efforts to secure a lasting peace, I am glad to announce the signing of today's historic economic partnership agreement between the United States and Ukraine, establishing the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. This partnership allows the United States to invest alongside Ukraine to unlock Ukraine's growth assets, mobilize American talent, capital, and governance standards that will improve Ukraine's investment climate and accelerate Ukraine's economic recovery.
The two countries would establish a reconstruction investment fund with each side having equal voting rights, and Ukraine would retain full control over its subsoil, infrastructure and natural resources. The deal would finance mineral and oil and gas projects as well as related infrastructure or processing. Ukraine said it secured key interests after protracted negotiations, including full sovereignty over its own rare earths, which are vital for new technologies and largely untapped. Ukraine also asserted that it has no debt obligations to the United States under the agreement. Ukraine holds some 5% of the world's mineral resources and rare earths, which are used in consumer electronics, electric vehicles, and military applications, among others. Bureau Report, DD India.
Now, ahead of the historic agreement, US President Donald Trump said at the cabinet meeting that a deal had been agreed and he assumes Ukraine is going to honor it.
As you know, we're looking for rare earth all the time. Rare earth is called rare for a reason. And they have a lot, and we made a deal where our money is secure, where we can start digging and doing what we have to do. It's also good for them because you'll have an American presence at the site, Chris. And the American presence will, I think, keep a lot of bad actors out of the country, or certainly out of the area where we're doing the digging.
US President Donald Trump further said that Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is looking to make a trade deal and will visit the White House within the next week. Trump said that he had congratulated Carney on Monday's election win.
I think we're going to have a great relationship. He's a pretty liberal guy. But no, I spoke to him yesterday. He couldn't have been nicer. And I congratulated him. You know, it was a very mixed signal because it's almost even, which makes it very complicated for the country. It's a pretty tight race. But he's a very nice gentleman. And he's going to come to the White House very shortly, within the next week or less.
Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday and underscored Canada's commitment to supporting Ukraine in achieving lasting peace and security. The Canadian Prime Minister's office said in a statement that Zelensky congratulated him on his election in Monday's vote, and the two leaders agreed that a durable peace can only be achieved with Ukraine at the table. Back to Asia. Voters in Singapore will head to polls on Saturday in a closely watched general election that will serve as the first major electoral test for Prime Minister Lawrence Wong. Wong took over the leadership of the long-ruling People's Action Party in May 2024, succeeding former Premier Lee Hsien Loong after his two-decade tenure. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong hit the campaign trail on Thursday at a public housing estate, engaging with locals as part of the ruling People's Action Party's final push ahead of Singapore's general election on May the 3rd. So Singapore holds a parliamentary election on May 3rd that will be contested by 11 political parties across the city-state of 6 million people with 2.76 million registered voters. In a first-past-the-post system, the candidate who secures the highest number of votes is elected to office. Singapore's upcoming general election on May 3rd, 2025 is shaping up to be a pivotal moment in its political landscape. The ruling People's Action Party, PAP, is seeking a strong mandate to navigate turbulent times. This election will be the first referendum on Prime Minister Lawrence Wong's leadership since he took over from long-serving Premier Lee Hsien Loong, who stepped down in May last year. Singapore's Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says there is much at stake in the upcoming election.
We are in a changed world with turbulence all around. So there is much at stake in this election. Your votes will determine your future and your children's future.
Opposition parties like the Workers' Party and Progress Singapore Party are challenging PAP's dominance, aiming to increase their presence in Parliament. Inherited from its British colonizers, the candidate who secures the highest number of votes is elected to office. The opposition is competing in 92 out of 97 seats, as this is the first time since 2011 where not all districts are being contested. The parties running are vying to win over the country's 2.8 million eligible voters for whom voting is compulsory. The key parties contesting the elections are People's Action Party. The ruling PAP has won every election for more than 60 years and has always controlled at least 89% of parliamentary seats. Workers' Party. Singapore's largest opposition party has framed itself as a check on the PAP. The Workers' Party made historic gains in the 2020 election. Progress Singapore Party, PSP. PSP is among a host of smaller parties contesting in the election. It secured 2 seats for the so-called non-constituency MPs in 2020. Singapore Democratic Party, SDP, contested every general election since 1980 and won 3 seats in Parliament in 1991. Key issues dominating the campaign include rising costs, housing, job security, and the value of having more opposition voices in Parliament. The election also marks the first time new legislation banning digitally manipulated content misrepresenting candidates is in effect. Bureau Report, DD India. Now, as Australia goes to polls on May 3rd as well, concerns over the cost of living, climate action, student debt and the increasing influence of the far right are key issues for voters. A report.
Australia is all set for federal elections on May 3rd this year. The elections will decide all 150 seats in the House of Representatives and 40 of the 76 Senate seats. To form a government, a party must secure at least 76 seats in the House. If no party achieves a majority, they will need to form a coalition with another party or parties or with independent candidates, resulting in a hung parliament. Early voting for Australia's general elections has already taken place. About half of the country's 18 million registered voters cast their ballots before election day on May 3rd. Now let's take a look at the parties. The Australian Labor Party, it's the oldest political party established federally in 1901. The Liberal Party of Australia, it was formed in 1944 and it united many of the non-Labor political parties and organizations in Australia. The Nationals, it was formed in 1920, was renamed the National Country Party in 1975 and the National Party of Australia in 1982. Since 2003, it has been known as the Nationals. In recent parliaments, there have been up to 16 independent members or members of minor parties. Elected independent members are not affiliated with any political party. Australian Greens 4 members, Central Alliance 1 member, Caters Australian Party 1 member. Key issues shaping the campaign including the rising cost of living, housing, insecurity, climate change and national security.
Well, I'm certainly worried about the effect of the climate on this country as well as everywhere else in the world, and I'm hoping somebody in this election is going to make a difference and protect all of us, but particularly the next generations.
For this election, with issues that are so big, the biggest issue in Wentworth is obviously cost of living. You've got to vote for a major party if you want to seat at the table again, which people in Wentworth want.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, leading the Labor Party, is seeking re-election for a second term. Meanwhile, the opposition, led by Peter Dutton of the Liberal National Coalition, is aiming to reclaim power after one term in opposition. Bureau Report, DD India.
Now on to Turkey. Istanbul authorities have announced comprehensive traffic and transportation restrictions for the May 1st Labour and Solidarity Day celebrations on Thursday, affecting major areas of the city as part of security measures. According to an official statement from the Governor's office, the city's major labour unions will hold separate rallies, gatherings at the Kadikoy Waterfront Square and the Kartal Square. To manage the flow of people and ensure security during the events, Istanbul has developed an extensive plan that will affect transportation throughout the city. The restrictions include closure of key metro stations, suspension of ferry services between European and Asian sides, and blockage of major roads in central districts. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Thousands marched in Buenos Aires in Argentina against President Javier Milei's austerity policies on the day before Labor Day. Protesters organized by the General Confederation of Labour marched, waving union flags, banners and placards while chanting slogans denouncing the impoverishment of workers and demanded the start of wage negotiations. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro announced a pension increase of $50 from $30 state bonus adjustment aimed to provide some relief while the base minimum wage struggles against hyperinflation. The minimum wage remains frozen, which has devalued to $1.48 due to chronic inflation since being set 3 years ago. Colombia's Justice Minister visited a Bogota prison where at least 99 women jailed for drug-related crimes have been freed since March 2023. The releases are a public utility law offering sentence pardons to female heads of household in exchange for social services. And the Indira Gandhi Cultural Centre in High Commission of India, Dhaka, paid a musical tribute to tabla maestro Ustad Zakir Hussain on Wednesday. The event was a heartfelt tribute to his unparalleled contribution to Indian classical music. The event featured a captivating tabla recital by Pallav Sanyal and his team, followed by performances from renowned Sarod artist Rajrupa Chaudhary and her fellow tabla artist. The artists mesmerized the audiences with intricate rhythms and soulful beats, reflecting the tabla maestro's legacy. Ustad Zakir Hussain was a cultural innovator who used rhythm as a universal language, blending Indian classical music with global genres. The world lost to Ustad Zakir Hussain of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis on December 15, 2024. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. US economy shrinks for the first time in 3 years. Donald Trump asked Seoul to be patient, says the shrink has nothing to do with tariffs. Rajasthan Royals will host inform Mumbai Indians in a much-awaited IPL clash today. And in tennis, top seed Arna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff and Elena Svitolina enter Madrid Open semi-finals. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to some business news of the day. The US economy saw a contraction during the first quarter of 2025, marking the first such decline in 3 years. US President Donald Trump urged patience following reports of the economy shrinking in the first quarter. During a cabinet meeting on Wednesday, Trump said that he doesn't want China to suffer because of tariffs, adding that China is doing very poorly right now.
We took over on January 20th. The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. I know that, and I don't want this to happen, but I know that China is doing very poorly right now. I just saw some reports coming out, and I don't want that to happen to China. I like the president a lot, President Xi. I don't want it to happen. I was actually saddened to hear it, but they are getting absolutely hammered in China.
Donald Trump also placed blame on former President Joe Biden for the state of the economy following the Commerce Department's advance gross domestic product report.
Peaked, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today. And I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is quarterly numbers. And we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country.
Now, tech giant Meta reported a quarterly profit of $16.6 billion on Wednesday, beating expectations aside market worries over its heavy investment in cloud computing and artificial intelligence, whereas Microsoft posted robust quarterly results on Wednesday, showing a rise on revenues by 13% to $70.1 billion, powered by a strong performance in cloud computing and artificial intelligence businesses. Both Meta and Microsoft's impressive results underscore the growing importance of cloud and AI in shaping the future of tech industry. Now, 2 months after the German elections, efforts to form a coalition government have succeeded as the economy continues to stutter. Joining me with more is DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu. Chiponda, welcome to DD India News Hour. What more can you tell us?
Thanks for having me. Well, on Wednesday, the Social Democrats approved the coalition agreement. So that means the coalition of the Conservatives and Social Democrats is almost a done deal. Now, next Tuesday, German parliamentarians will elect the new Chancellor Friedrich Merz in a vote in the Bundestag. And some names of the ministers who will form the cabinet have been announced. So there were some surprises there as well. And one of them was Katharina Reiche. Now, she is set to become the economy minister. Until now, she'd been a manager of a subsidiary of German utility E.ON. Her main task will be to get Germany's stalled economy going. Now, while some have welcomed the choice of someone with experience in the energy sector, there has been some criticism as well. Some fear the incoming minister's experiences in the energy sector could lead to some conflicts of interest.
And Chiponda, also tell us the state of the German economy. Has the recession fears eased?
Well, this week we also got news that the German economy grew 0.2% in the first 3 months of this year, and that was a bit of a surprise. And it does mean that Germany managed to avoid a recession because its economy didn't contract for 2 consecutive quarters. But unemployment in April rose to levels last seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. The labor market here appears to be showing some weakness, and analysts have pointed out that the meager 0.2% rise was much too small to shirk off concerns about the economy. And also earlier last month, the German government cut its economic growth forecast. It expects stagnation this year instead of a measly expansion of 0.3%. So growing the German economy is going to be one of the major challenges that the German incoming government is going to be facing.
Thank you, Chiponda, for all those updates. Chiponda Chimberlu joining us from DW Berlin. And time now for some sporting action. First updates from IPL cricket. Rajasthan Royals will host in-form Mumbai Indians in Jaipur in their Indian Premier League clash on Thursday. The Royals will be coming into the clash after a dominating victory in their last match against the Gujarat Titans, courtesy of 14-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi's scintillating record-breaking ton. RR are currently sitting in the 8th position with 6 points. The home team finally broke their 5-match losing streak to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. On the other hand, Mumbai has made a dramatic turnaround in its campaign, winning 5 games in a row to hold the 2nd position in the tally. The Hardik Pandya-led side, which was earlier at the 9th spot, has quickly regrouped and found their rhythm and will be looking to maintain the momentum. Indian women's hockey team will face the Australian senior team on Thursday after 2 matches against the Australia A side. Team India, led by captain Salima Tete and vice-captain Navneet Kaur, will clash against Australia's senior team in a 3-match friendly series. India will look to improve their performance after suffering 2 defeats in the first 2 games against Australia A. In the first match, India fought valiantly but fell short, losing 3-5. In the second match, India suffered an unfortunate defeat with a narrow score line of 2-3. And moving on now to updates from the ongoing Madrid Open tennis tournament. Top seed Arna Sabalenka booked her ticket to the Madrid Open semi-finals, where she will meet number 17 seed Elina Svitolina. It took 2 tie breaks, but the Belarusian Sabalenka finally defeated Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk 7-6, 7-6. Meanwhile, Ukraine's Elina Svitolina had the most clear-cut win as she ended a hot run by Japan's Moyuka Ushima, going 6-2, 6-1 in less than an hour on court. The other semi-final will feature second seed Poland's Iga Świątek and United States' Coco Gauff. After both players emerged victorious from their quarter-final matches, Świątek got past American Madison Keys 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 in an hour and 46 minutes. Meanwhile, Coco Gauff had a slow start in the first set against Russia's Mira Andreeva, but then turned it up in the second set to walk away with a 7-5, 6-1 win. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. So we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.